My guest today is the chairman of Azerbaijan Democratic Reforms Party and MP Asim Mollazade. Welcome to our studio. Thank you. Today we will speak about Russia-Azerbaijan relations. As we know, further talks was held between Russia, Azerbaijan and Armenia in Sochi. How do you appreciate the results of the talks? Recently, a number of talks are being held among Russia, Armenia and Azerbaijan. However, most of them give no results. The main goal of Russia during such talks was to solve Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. If Russia don't achieve anything in this area, its political image would be damaged. The other thing is that at last Russia realized that the only country developing and which have the right to make decisions on regional issues in South Caucasus is Azerbaijan. And realizing its mistakes, Russia now attempts to build close relations with Azerbaijan. And this cooperation would be achieved only when Karabakh problem is solved. During the talks, Azerbaijan and Russia discussed economic relations as well. Both Azerbaijan and Russia are interested in involving energy security in Europe. I believe that one day Russia and Azerbaijan reach an agreement until 2012. Because the agreement period between Russia and Azerbaijan expires on January 2012. There are a lot of issues that are needed to be solved, and such a meeting was an opportunity for presidents of the two countries to discuss those issues. However, I consider that the main issue that needs to be solved is Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. Comparing the other Minsk Group co-chairman, Russia decided to pay more attention to that issue, and unfortunately it gave no result. There is one issue on the agenda, that territories of Azerbaijan are occupied by Armenia. Therefore, first of all, Minsk Group's co-chairman firstly should discuss this issue, and every time we call the international community to carry out resolutions adopted by Security Council of the United Nations, European Council and European Parliament. If international law exists and if a resolution is adopted, then it must be carried out. Execution mechanisms of those decisions must be discussed, but there is no result, and this paves the way for instability in South Caucasus. During presidency of Abulfaz Ecebe, you were ambassador plenipotentiary on regulation of Karabakh conflict, and you have been indirectly involved in adoption of the resolution number 822 of the United Nations. Has Russia admitted that territories of Azerbaijan have been occupied by Armenia? I want to mention that Russia is permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. No decision can be made in this organization without asking Russia's opinion. If such a document has been adopted, then it means that they agreed with Russia to adopt that decision. Because Russia has the right to veto a legislative measure. Russia has never gave statement to damage occupied territories of Azerbaijan. For example, as you know, there are cold relations between Russia and Georgia. It recognized occupied territories of Georgia, and a number of changes took place in this area. Today, all international documents regarding Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict are adopted by Russia. Besides, I also want to mention that Russia was not against the related resolution adopted by Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly. In addition, during the meetings, Russia stated that it recognizes territorial integrity of Azerbaijan and attempts to solve Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. But there is another factor here. Russia always takes responsibility and carries out its obligations in its policy. However, other countries create problems. For example, Russia stated that it's ready to discuss status of the Caspian Sea. However, Iran doesn't agree with that. Thus, Russia is actively involved in solution of Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict. However, Armenia doesn't come to an agreement and no result is achieved. Georgia-Russia war in 2012 August showed that Russia continued its empirical policy. They also accepted 5-point strategies of European Union. It promised to expel its army from the territories of Georgia, but they didn't do it. On the contrary, it recognized independence of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. And recently, Russian president's answer to the journalists was heard all over the world. He said that it's a very serious lesson for Azerbaijan and Armenia. What lesson does Azerbaijan take? Can Russia again begin to pursue expansionist policy in the region? Russia states that those territories belong to them, but let's have a look at the map. Today, Russia has related problems almost all its neighboring countries. Unfortunately, it has a lot of problems with those countries. Even it has conflicts with Belarus, and I think that the main reason for that is path thinking. Russia considers that it owns everything and all the territories belong to Russia. The world is changing day by day, and Russia will not achieve anything without throwing away its past thinking. Every time Russian President Dmitry Medvedev says that it wants to create modern and civilized country, but they cannot achieve if they continue to force another country to do something and to occupy territories. I think that Russia should make a choice. If it makes political changes and regulate relations with other countries, even Central and Eastern European countries, then it will succeed and become a civilized country. I want to mention one thing that neither American nor European countries will confront against Russia, and Russia thinks that they have enough power to force, and if we use it, no one will defend even its allies. In one hand, Russia continues talks with Azerbaijan, and at the same time, Azerbaijan states that it achieved breakthrough as a result of the talks. On the other hand, it calls America to attempt to solve Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. What do you think about it? Will Azerbaijan achieve to solve the problem with the help of Russia and without participation of America and France? The three presidents at the same time, Minsk co-chairmen gave statements, and they tried to make general decision, and America and France will also involve in solving Karabakh conflict. I hope that this treaty will pave the way for solving the conflict, and all Minsk Group co-chairmen and presidents of those countries will involve in this process. For example, France president said that it wants to visit Azerbaijan recently, and it shows that France also wants to participate in this process. Thank you for coming to our studio. My guest today was the chairman of Azerbaijan Democratic Reforms Party and MP Asim Mollazade.